Hello everyone, and welcome back to another anime episode review. I am the Rat, and this is The Rat's Nest. I'm joined this fine evening/morning, depending on the time of which you are watching this, and depending on the time of which we are recording this. Of course, that's not variable. We are recording this in the morning. I'm joined as always by Kyle. Say hi, Kyle.
Hello, everybody.
We are here today to discuss, for some reason, what is apparently an extremely polarizing episode of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Very controversial.
Season 2, episode 14, which has apparently had a lot of discourse around it.
For whatever reason.
We'll talk about that. So, I guess.
So, okay. Quick thoughts real quick.
Yeah.
I like this episode. You know what? I'm going to beat the allegations. I think this was a fine episode. It's a good episode. Has a little, I'd say, flaws. I'm not trying to sound like that guy, but good episode with some flaws. I think the hate is overblown, and we'll talk about it. But overall, I love the Dagon fight, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out overall.
Yeah.
What about you?
My quick thoughts are I liked it. I mean, obviously it wasn't Yuji versus Chozo. But I mean, as we'll talk about later, what kind of expectations should you have? And yeah, I enjoyed it. I can't say that I'm a big fan of Mei versus the Pestilence Curse. I mean, I don't dislike it. I just don't care.
Let's just jump straight into it. That did not need to be 5 minutes. I'm sorry. I don't think that fight was warranting of 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, I don't care. I think you could probably spend more time on Dagon, and that's what I would want to see. But this fight means literally nothing. I forgot that it happened. Oh, also, we should say full spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen. We're caught up. We're not going to hold back on it. I don't know why we would discuss certain things, but just fair warning.
Yeah. Well, I was literally about to say something.
Okay,
so thank you for
cool.
cutting me off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what they could have done was I get why they introduced Toji the way they did at the end of the episode, but wouldn't it have been a lot cooler if we got like the full panel with the text saying the one who threw everything away right there before it cut off? I mean, you could have. That wouldn't, in my head, right? I'm not trying to sound ungrateful, but you wouldn't have to animate much there because it's just him doing the Mr. Beast pose coming through the hole, and just have the narration and just show that. You could have had like a little bit more time on that to have a better cliffhanger than just focusing on the smallpox. Because the smallpox fight is honestly, I think, the single most forgettable part of the entirety of Shibuya. I mean, it is a fight that exists just to stall time. Quite literally, Kenny's like, if you could beat this guy, then we'll play. They beat him with what I would call relative ease. I mean, Mei just talks to herself and fights by herself the whole time with her crows,
Yeah, I mean, it's weird just having the two characters there, Mei and the smallpox deity or devil or whatever the hell. I don't know, and I don't care. I don't care about this fight. I mean, it looks
very
great.
forgettable.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, it looked fine.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Whatever, sweet. I just don't really care about it. I would have much rather seen more time into the Dagon fight. But whatever. That's episode pacing wise, and I don't think anyone's talking about that because people have their panties in a twist over other stuff.
And speaking of panties in a twist, let's get right in the second part. The rest of the episode is it's just the Dagon fight. It's the start of it up until Mr. Beast Toji himself shows up. So let's just go in order because we get the parts of them fighting, in the underground. We see the little what would you call him, Scrunglow?
Yeah, Scrumpy. Love that guy.
We see the little Scrumpy himself where they're walking and Nanami, they're all just chatting, and Nanami's like, you should take Nobito's warning, you should leave and get out of here. And Maki's like, I'll be better than some drunk. And he goes, are you drunk? He goes, woo Gege, I'm not.
No freaking way, woo Gege. It's real woo Gege hours. It is real. Yeah, it is real. I've pop up, but it's real. But
are you drunk?
Woo Gege.
So yeah, there's that, and then they encounter a little Scrunglow there, and then he vomits all of these corpses.
He was hungry.
He was hungry.
You know what they say? If you give a mouse a cookie, man, crazy shit happens.
Yeah, and then he gets punched once after getting turned into FPS, and then he gets really pissed and he turns into Abdal slash All Might slash
Jack
Jack
Hanma.
Hammer. Yeah,
Yeah, funny guy himself. Whenever he first screamed, he sounded like Matsuoka, and I was like, "There's no way they got Matsuoka to voice a second character on this show." I'm not gonna take it. I was like, I got rid of him. I was like, we already got rid of Matsuoka, and now he's back. Of course, I'd love to have him. I love Matsuoka. Favorite Japanese voice actor easily. It's not even close. But I was like, that's kind of crazy. But the rest of the fight, I mean, it goes as expected, right? I really like Naobito's curse technique. I think it's cool with like the whole frames and everything. I think it's cool that it's like the concept of if someone else were to like think through it the way that he does, they'd be able to utilize it as well. I think that's cool. That's a neat little concept there where it's like, yeah, no, it's not. It's like the adverse
also
effects of my powers is like the main
it
thing, and the
works
effect of it against others.
better in animation. I think like I remember initially a long time ago when reading this fight getting confused by his ability. I think and I mean it's the like seeing it again, but I think having it in animation definitely helps
Yeah, I'd
because
say
it's I
so.
mean it quite literally
Yeah.
it's an animation based ability. So having the portrayal of it be through animation. Also, it was cute how they had the JJK logo on the papers as they were showing
Yeah.
it. I thought that was
Neat
neat.
little detail. But yeah, no, I think that it was pretty clear. Pretty clear to see. Cool to see Nanami and fight, and then we get the Dagon's domain, and we get to see his sugar hit effect with like all the fishies and whatnot. He
Endless
puts
Death Swarm or whatever.
70% onto Naobito, 30% onto Nanami, 0% onto Maki because she's a woman, and being a woman is cringe. I can say that because the Rat's Nest is a 100% male viewership audience. Well, I don't know anymore. I'll have to check it. There's a female sounding name comments on Mushoku Tensei. Quarantine Summers. Shout out to you. I guess you could never say for certain.
Yeah, and then
you
after
you
that,
we're recording
we
this early. I
yeah,
guess.
it's pretty late. But yeah, after that, they continue fighting for a bit. We can talk more in depth about the action later. But they're fighting for a bit. Megami infiltrates the domain, and then that stops the sure hit effect because their domain is in what it's described as a tug of war. More action happens, and then Megami explains like, okay, he thinks that I'm just stalling the domain. I'm actually creating an exit. This thing isn't like Gojo. It most likely can't use a domain expansion more than once in a day because it Gojo's insane. So
Yeah.
if we just gather around and escape through this hole and hope that no bullshit happens when I open this hole, we'll be fine. And then they open the hole and bullshit ensues.
Womp womp.
And then we get the goat himself doing the Mr. Beast pose as he enters through. And then yeah, that's the episode,
Yeah.
but that's not all because everyone and their mother had their panties in a knot over the second half of this episode. And I think we should talk in depth about that.
Yeah. So my thoughts on it, right?
Yeah, okay.
As a general starting point, I don't know. We can go from this, or you can, I don't know, whatever. General starting point. My thoughts on it. I mean, yes, objectively, this was not Yuji versus Chozo. Like that's just true. Like, yes, objectively, there was some stuff that maybe looked like a little wonky. Now, like, I also don't know if like maybe I was looking for it because I had heard about it, right? I noticed some lower quality like drawings like of the characters. That kind of stuff. Yes, objectively that stuff was in the episode. Objectively, this was not Yuji versus Chozo. At the same time, Yuji versus Chozo is generational. It's just not realistic to expect an anime studio to pull that level of quality for an entire arc. And I think that that's where the main point I want to make comes in, where it's what expectations do people have for Mappa? Like, this is a fine episode. If this was an episode done by like White Fox, people would be like, holy shit, White Fox is up their game. Like, but because it's Mappa, they're like, this is literally the worst thing ever created. I hate this. This is stupid. This is the worst animation I've ever seen. No, it's fine. Does it use 500 frames per second? No. Does it use the expert shading and coloration of Yuji versus Chozo? No. But you can't expect everything to be Yuji versus Chozo. Could it have been higher quality? Sure. Yes, no. They could have done a higher quality than what they did. Just objectively, it was of a lower quality. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but just objectively, yes, it wasn't Yuji versus Chozo.
Okay. Here's what I want to say. A lower quality for a Mappa episode is a higher quality for a lot of other studios. Because it was still a good episode. I mean, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I just I watched it here and I thought I expected this to be Seven Deadly Sins, and I did see comments comparing this to Seven Deadly Sins. I'm kind of upset by that. I do not agree. It was not the best episode, but there's this thing, right? So I think there's two big factors at play, right? One is just how animation works, and I'm not an animation expert. I'm not trying to. If I get anything wrong, correct me in the comments or whatever. But here's how I imagine it, right? You have all your manpower and you have a budget, and you have to selectively filter out your. Remember when Dagon's 70% here, 30% there? I feel like that's how the budget is distributed, where some episodes are given more time, more polish, and other episodes, unfortunately, and this is a whole nother can of worms that I don't really want to get into, but because of the animation how animation is and Japan's work ethics and all that, some episodes have to take hits for other episodes to look better. I mean, do we not go through this in inverse order with Yuji versus Grasshopper, and then the episode with Gojo piecing everyone in the underground?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're gonna have a trade-off. Look, I love this fight. I love the Dagon fight, and I still think that it's done really
fight.
well. I think that now Bito's curse technique is kind of just say the crux of it. It's a very interesting part of it, and then you have Megumi's domain versus Dagon's domain. Those are very interesting parts of it. You get to see Maki do some cool stuff. You get to see Nanami do some cool stuff. And objectively, Nanami had some very well animated scenes. That scene where he was
the one where he runs across the frog.
Exactly. That's higher quality than most other studios would put out in that scene. It's kind of, and look, I love the Dagon fight. All that said, I love it. But at the same time, you cannot tell me that more time and effort needed to be put into the Dagon fight than, Sukuna coming back, or Jogo's fight, or Sukuna versus Jogo.
Yeah.
Or
Sukuna
doing other stuff, or Maharaga, or Sukuna meeting Maharaga, or Sukuna's domain, or Sukuna.
Okay, Brandon, hang on. I want to ask a question. I want to ask
Yuji
question.
versus motherfucking Mahito. You
Brandon,
can't tell me that
Dagon
Dagon needed the Yuji versus Chozo treatment when we have these. People think Yuji versus Chozo, it was phenomenally animated. What the hell are they cooking for Yuji versus Mahito, which is the big fight of Shibuya, right?
Yeah.
It's I am fine with Dagon being an averagely animated shonen episode. Maybe even above average. It has its above average scene. I'll say above average. I'm fine with that if it means that later on, sure, maybe Mappa could have done a bit better this. Maybe they could have dedicated more frames to Maki swinging her whatever, or maybe they could have animated Naobito talking a little bit more. Maybe they could have added more shading to Nanami and scenes. Sure, maybe they could have. But if not having it here means that we can get it during later, I'm fine. I'm not gonna be guys, this wasn't generationally animated. I don't like it. No, this. It was animated completely fine. I mean, everything can always be better. Everything can always be better, except for Yuji versus Chozo. I don't really know a way you could have made that fight better.
I have a question that I wanted to ask. Sorry, I wasn't trying to fully interrupt earlier, but it does loop into what you say about people's expectations, right? I saw someone ask this question. It made a good point. Do people like the Dagon fight because it's a good fight, or do they like it because Toji shows up? I mean, think about that. Really think about that. Would you imagine the alternate, right? Imagine this episode ends with them escaping, and they beat Dagon, right? would people's expectations for this episode be higher if it were that good? No, expectations were higher for this episode because it's the fight where Toji shows up. When people think Dagon, I mean, they will think of like a good fight, but I feel like most people would think, oh shit, that's where Toji shows up. And guess what's probably going to happen? Next episode is, this might age poorly, this might age like wine. It's probably going to have a much higher quality of animation because it's like the thing that everyone's been waiting for. Toji and Toji fighting. I think that's why people's expectations, like, I think people, and I'm not this might sound weird. I think people expected too much of this being the first half of this fight, because the second,
I mean, literally, next episode is called whatever Fragments Part 2.
Yeah, and so them fighting Dagon, it's a good fight, but I mean, I think what people really care about is the Toji stuff. And if next episode is animated well enough, I mean, congratulations, you did what people wanted. And that's the hard part of animating a show, from what I can tell. Like, you're gonna have to make some cuts and sacrifices here and there. Not everything. And I'm not even gonna use the level of Yuji versus Chojo. I think like that is an extremely rare case of like they went all out.
No,
but even think like,
no, absolutely. Yuji versus
okay, here's
Chozo
a better example.
All hands on deck. We are making this fight. Like,
here's a better example.
As good as it can possibly be.
Gojo piecing everyone in the underground. I think that's like a good higher quality episode of Shibuya to like say like, okay, that's a good standard to have.
I wouldn't even say that's higher than standard. I think that episode was done like higher than what should be considered standard.
Well then, all right.
I mean,
what would be like a good standard?
The thing is, right? I mean, because the thing is, right? We're spoiled. Mappa spoils us. We are Mappa's little baby. We suckle from the teat of Mappa, right? We are spoiled.
Well, because they're taking everything, yeah.
You have stuff like Gojo versus the Disaster Curses and Yuji versus Chozo. And we see how good Mappa can be. And then whenever they produce, like, to say an average episode, like the one we saw today, it's like, oh, well, let's not, whatever. I mean, it'd just be like Demon Slayer fans being like, guys, the red didn't turn orange today. The blue didn't turn orange today. This is literally a fraud. Ufotable sucks. I don't know. I'm not a Demon Slayer fan, so I can't really bring Demon Slayer.
So bad. Animators were apologizing and calling themselves garbage.
Yeah.
Like,
to say like what I would want from an average episode, I'd say, I would say probably more than this. As for like to say like the average, but at the same time, you're not going to get like an average. I'm fine going from an episode like this, which I think is completely fine, and this is an above average episode for literally any other anime studio. And it's like it was fine. I mean, like it never blew my mind, but it was fine. But I mean, the stuff covered here didn't need to blow my mind.
This episode would kill a slice of life person.
That's so true. It would. It absolutely would. Look, like the standard, I think, to say quote unquote the standard, right? You have different standards for different things. You can't expect the first half of the Dagon fight to be held to the same standard as Gojo fucking making Hanami his bitch, killing her, running through killing 5 gorillion people, and then getting sealed. Like you can't hold those two story beats to the same standard and expect them to get the same treatment. So screw it. This is my answer to what the hell the standard should be. I think that for huge moments like Gojo getting sealed, that the Gojo episode is the standard. I think that Yuji versus Chozo is above that standard. And I think that for smaller moments or build-up moments, this episode is an amazing standard. Why the hell not? This episode was fine. This episode was completely fine. It didn't blow my mind, but it didn't need to. My mind's going to be blown later whenever my goat shows up and throws so much glizzy. That's when my mind's going to be blown. Like, look, I love this fight. It's a fun fight, but like it doesn't need the same attention as those bigger moments. And so holding them to the same standard is just absolutely ridiculous, and expecting that of Mappa is absolutely insane, I think.
Yeah. But I will say, however, right, talk about this and all. if what I hear about Mappa's work conditions are true, I do feel really bad. Like these,
Yeah, no,
imagine,
I feel
right?
horrible.
No, like that's and this feels like a weird line to kind of tiptoe on, but that's why I'm not going to be too offended. I'll be more forgiving toward these animators with this episode because like they're doing a they're working in really tough conditions. I mean, as far as
All
I know,
right,
right?
guys, there were only 2 generational scenes this episode. I'm gonna need you to not see your family for until next Christmas 3 years from now. Look, I know it might seem
I
a little
mean,
bit harsh, but
it's insane. Like the amount, guys. Like, okay, look. I know I made fun of 70 cents, right? Like, sometimes animation is like offensively bad. You can get to that level, but for something like this, I mean, it, it's hard
fine.
to
It's so
say.
fine.
I don't understand. Like, if they're people who feel passionate the opposite way who want to comment, like, please, like, I want to know what the issue is here. I mean, yeah, there were some moments this episode that were a little odd, but I mean, considering the working conditions at Mappa, like knowing, I doubt I even know like a tenth of what's going on there. I mean, I hear awful stuff about it. It must be horrible having to work with the threat of your family being executed if you don't draw like 1,000 frames in the span of 1 minute. Like it's probably tough to work in. So I am more forgiving toward episodes like this because they're they're saving their resources for other more important moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to open up the whole can of worms there, but just whenever you see episodes like this, don't let Mappa don't let that name of Mappa get to you. I mean, it's a lower quality episode by Mappa standards. I mean, that's like that other anime episodes would kill to like put out episodes like that or to have episodes that look like that in their own series. So I'm happy with the adaptation so far. It's been fluctuating. Like there's been average episodes, above average, and then below average for Mappa specifically. I don't think I've seen anything in the Shibuya arc so far that I have thought is offensively bad. Like I've not watched it and gone, "Oh my god, how could they release this?" I've seen insane stuff. Like you people are insane. I'm calling out the people that are like, "Oh, look at this My Hero ass guy." You people are crazy.
Are you crazy enough to subscribe to the Rat's Nest? I just don't get it. I
don't want
genuinely
to attack your fans. I don't want to attack the
Oh
fans
no,
here.
no.
Some people, but
no, I think that I just don't get where it's coming from. Like, I think people have way too high of an expectation for Mappa. I mean, people. Yeah, you can't forget how much work has to go into an episode like Gojo versus the Disaster Curses or Yuji versus Chozo. You can't underestimate the amount of time and effort and work and man hours that go into an episode like that. And it's like, yeah, like, look, if later in the season we get Yuji versus Mahito and it's the quality of this fight, yeah, I will be disappointed. I will say that, yes, I will be disappointed. And maybe there are people out there who love the Dagon fight like I love Yuji versus Mahito. And to those people, I apologize. I sympathize with you. I wish that your fight could get the same treatment as like Yuji versus Chozo or whatever. But at the same time, like looking at it from an objective story point, Dagon just is nowhere near as important as some of these later scenes. And so I don't think that it's wrong to not have a bad episode, to have an okay episode, to have a completely fine episode, to have a good episode. If later we're going to get the holy shit, this is literally the best animated fight to ever exist. Now, we can't talk on that yet. Obviously, it hasn't happened. Anything can happen. But, like, I don't think that it's wrong to not have this fight be, like, I don't think that it's wrong to adapt this fight in the way that they did. I think it's fine. It's completely fine. It's good. It's a good episode. I enjoyed it. It was funny to see little Scrumblo vomit corpses, and then Gotami and Sukuna there with the domain that he opened. Like, it was fun. It was a fun episode.
I've exposed myself to X for about 30 to 45 seconds worth of comments arguing, and I hate my life now. It's
complete Kyle?
polar opposites.
You know what I've decided? This is a two idiots discussion. This is a two idiots discussion.
Sure, fuck it. Like, this has gone past.
We've talked about it for long enough. This is a two idiots discussion.
This is a episode
you guys watching
review
have known it's been a two idiots discussion. They're probably like, why are they talking about the episode? Who cares about that? But this is a two idiots discussion. Now, our second two idiots hot take. Our first one obviously being that we liked Gojo versus Sukuna. And now our second one being that this episode's fine. So
looking at this,
maybe we're
these
fake
comments,
fans. Maybe we just suck. Maybe we hate JJK.
Looking at some of these is insane. It's so much arguing and people saying it's unfinished. This is like awful, bad. This is like stupid, wrong. A good thing I dropped JJK after episodes like this. Like, what?
It's crumbling. It's
and then the other people are like, oh yeah, they're just gonna spam the same like literal 1 second of Maki movement, and then someone staying on something, and then the one valid one I'm seeing is like the now Bito panel of him stomping the curse. It's just like they just show his legs. That I get, but like, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like we're gonna have to see more. Also, just see how the rest of Shibuya goes, because did people just forget that the last episode exists? Do people forget?
People have short-term memory loss.
Do people just forget like Gojo sitting on Jogo's arm, or Nanami pulling that guy's hair because Mappa literally wants Nanami? I mean, do people just? Funny enough, I don't know if this is true. This is tangent. I heard that those two scenes, him like sitting on Gojo's arm and Nanami hair pulling, were animated by the same guy, like or storyboarded by the same guy. But yeah, I mean, did people just forget the last episode and like other episodes beforehand?
Dude, what last episode? Mappa sucks. It's a horrible studio.
Okay, I will say it is weird that it has to be fluctuation of like things. Yeah, that it is going from like below Mappa standards to above. It is jarring, and I do get that. But I don't know. It feels like, remember when Chainsaw Man dropped and like the Japanese fan base was recalling for them to reanimate all of season 1?
That's a dude. Okay, I'm putting that in my notes. That's something we need to talk about. That's something we need to talk about. The Chainsaw Man anime for a two idiots.
But like that in particular, it feels like kind of similar to that energy where everyone's just not shutting up about it. And yeah, okay. To like not cap things off, but to kind of try to draw near an end point. Yeah, this episode isn't the best. It's below Mappa's standards, but I just would like people to try to look again and recontextualize, like, is it that bad? I mean,
it's fine.
I'm not trying to sound like a brainless must consume everything consumer kind of fella, but I don't see what's wrong with it. I didn't boot up my PC didn't burn at what it was witnessing. The stream didn't crash because of like how low quality it was. Fine. It was a product that Mappa delivered the best they could, and I feel bad that there are people who worked on this that are literally like apologizing, calling themselves trash on Twitter. You people are terrible for leading people to do that. Well, okay, I don't know if like they were basically quote unquote bullied and then apologized, or if they just release it and they're like, oh my god, I can't believe I released this, and then they just apologized first and then people were roasting them. But yeah,
I personally sent them death threats.
It's a weird situation. All in all, to talk about the episode, right? To talk about the episode.
We've already talked about the episode. It was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
Alrighty. Well, with all that said, right? Because I'm a little bit tired. I'm kind of eating.
I'm a little bit tired,
I want to go to bed. Thank you all for watching. If you're this far in the video, then obviously there's something you like. So make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us your thoughts, I guess. I don't know. We did I guess we didn't really do a formal. No, you did. You did do like a formal comment thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares, right? If you're a Mushoku Tensei fan, be sure to check out my video essay, How the Prologue of Mushoku Tensei Sets the Stage for the Perfect Isekai. It aired this past Saturday, and thank you all for getting it to 1,100 views as of the time of recording. It's recently had a resurgence because YouTube realized that it existed again, and it's given it roughly 200 views today. So I wanted to thank you all for that. Be sure to check that out if you're a Mushoku Tensei fan. If you're a fan of The Eminence in Shadow, I do reviews of that every Thursday. Be sure to check those out. If you're a fan of Rising of the Shield Hero, be sure to check those out. It's me and Kyle, and I think that we have a very fun dynamic that we do there. And we also have some very interesting thoughts on the episode that I think we do very well on. Thank you all for watching, and I certainly hope that you all enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.